And let's get started. All right, I would love to welcome everyone to our second DeSci event. I am Dinidh O'Brien, I'm from Data Lake. We're building a global medical data donation platform. And I'm also the head of public and international relations for the Donate Your Data Foundation. I apologize in advance for my voice. It's kind of going. However, I'm not going to be speaking much tonight. So that is the good news. Thank you very much for attending, and for everyone who's watching also online afterwards, thank you as well for giving time out of your busy, I'm sure, schedules to meet some of the most incredible women in STEM, in science, technology. We're really excited to have everyone here, and so what we'll do is a quick round of introductions and then head on into our discussion topics. I'm just going to go by as they appear on my screen. So Zara, please introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing.
Thank you for the invitation. I think it's saying too much that we are the most successful woman in STEM. I mean, that's a lot. But anyway, thank you for having us. I'm Zara Pons Vila. I work for EIT Health, European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and I'm a collaboration lead, so the person doing partnership in the Nordic countries. And I did my PhD and in different in the US. Also,
sorry, can I just interrupt? Is it only me, or is there like a sound problem?
No, I think we are having some sound issues, Zara, from your end. I'm not sure if it's internet or microphone. So just maybe as you take a look at that, Zara is the collaboration lead for EIT Health. She, in the Scandinavian region, she does a lot. I mean, I don't really know everything that she does, but a lot of connecting technological startups and businesses within the health sphere in order to promote and create European innovations. So she does a lot of work with a lot of different organizations, and it's all kind of under the branch of the European institutions. Laura, why don't you go next?
Hi, I didn't see myself next to you on the screen, but thank you. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Zara Minquini. I'm the core lead of Athena DAO. I know some of the women here from Twitter and seeing at other events. So I'm very excited to share the stage with a lot of women in science. I want to start by saying that I'm myself not a woman I did not start my career in science, but I have the utmost respect for all the women that are working in research, in health, and our mission at Athena DAO is to get more funding into women's health research, which is a massively overlooked area in funding, even though half of the world's population are women. And I know that a lot of women here that are scientists have experienced the biases in funding, in research, opportunities. And one of the things that we're trying to build is an ecosystem where we accept men, we love men, we accept everybody, but we want to build something that benefits women the most. So thank you again for having me. And just FYI, I'm going to be also doing the role of moderator and looking forward to talking to all these great women here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And also for being willing to moderate. I appreciate it very much. Just going in the order that I still have, Oksana, please introduce yourself. I've never met you before. Really excited to hear you speak. So who are you? What are you doing?
Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited to join you in this conversation. I'm science lead and director of science development at Gosh company, and we are layer one actually for open source development and science specifically. And we are trying to elaborate some best practices for research code execution, first of all, and safety of it, and for new standards for review process. Really excited to be here, and really excited that my guests that I call here are here, so I can see them. Thank you very much.
Lovely to have you here. It looks like Zara has rejoined us. Maria, please introduce yourself, what you're doing in life.
I'm very pleased to be here. Actually, I have a little bit of imposter syndrome today because, you know, I went through the profiles of these colleagues of mine and I said, what I'm doing, you know, amidst of them. Saw that Ligia Kornowska, she's in Poland and she's a medical doctor working with AI. Very, very nice to hear that. Oksana, that I have met twice. We had one-to-one chats. She's in Israel. And Paige, we also interacted through Telegram. She's in Florida, if your LinkedIn is updated. And Zara in Sweden, you know. Laura Minquini, I have seen you everywhere, you know, and you also resonate with me when you talk about reproduction, women's reproduction, you know. Looking, it was last week, I was just looking for a gland, a skinny gland, and I happened to know that, well, actually nobody knows what it does, you know, and it is part of our anatomy, you know, and how come, you know, 2023. And so I'm your follower from day one, and very nice to be here. Dinidh, I am also glad that you put a title that says Trailblazer. Never heard this word before. I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. I was born in Rio de Janeiro. I'm calling you today from São Paulo. But I went after the definition of Trailblazer, and I just said, you know, I'm in love with this guy, you know. It says, a person who blazes a trail for others to follow through unsettled country or wilderness. Pathfinder, a pioneer in any field of endeavor. So what can I say? You know, I'm very honored to be here.
That's very, very kind of you. Thank you for saying that. And just to give some context, so I grew up in a family of PhDs and scientists, and my mother was an early sustainability researcher. And in her 60s, she got her PhD because she was tired of being treated as not an expert, even though she had worked for 30 years in climate and sustainability research. So this for me is kind of my motivation. And you all have done an incredible job of making your voices heard out there and making your faces known. And this is a lot of what I want to, you know, help pass along to some of our people who are going to be watching, so we can help see more women out there. And obviously, Zara, I believe you and I talked a little bit about this earlier. Maybe you'll discuss it later. It's, you know, this discussion about equality and balance and all this. I don't know what the answer to the problem of underrepresentation of women in STEM is, but one of the solutions is having events like this. So thank you for being here. Paige, lovely to meet you in person, and please introduce yourself. Might be a bit of delay on Paige's end.
I'm sorry, I had trouble unmuting myself. Hello, everybody. So nice to be amongst such an esteemed crowd. And Maria's comments about imposter syndrome really resonate with me because I'm quite in awe of the accomplishments of these women here. And Dinidh, for you to get us all organized and together on this platform, that's quite a Herculean accomplishment. So thank you so much. And so I am not a scientist. I always put that front and center. I am co-founder of Frontier DAO, which is a science, technology, and innovation DAO. It's actually one of the earliest ones formed. We formed in 2021. And it was really with the mission or the intention to make science more accessible, transparent, reproducible, and also inclusive. So we're very much embracing of the open science ethos, as most people, many of you will recognize. Those are the four fundamental pillars of open science. My background is a lot from science communication. So my core belief is that we can have the greatest things in the world, but if people don't know about them and they don't know how to use them, you know, what good for the rest of us, you know, on the planet? What good for humanity is it? So I fundamentally believe in the importance and the strength of science communication, and that also dovetails with accessibility. So I look forward to speaking more about that, and yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but not least, Ligia, who I know the best of everyone, please introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. First of all, Dinidh, thank you for organizing such a great event. It's much needed to invite to speak all the women who are working in STEM and in DeSci area to talk about their accomplishments, their work. It's really, really needed for every other woman in the science. My name is Ligia Kornowska. I am co-founder and chair of the board in Data Lake and in Donate Your Data Foundation. I also work in the biggest hospital organization in Poland, Polish Hospital Federation, as a managing director, and I have a broad experience when it comes to new technologies in medicine, artificial intelligence, implementing AI solutions in health, and working with medical data. Also, when it comes to protecting personal data, also medical data. We had a very nice experience as a Polish Hospital Federation and AI in Health Coalition and a couple of other organizations of creating one of the first code of conducts for healthcare under Article 40 of GDPR. And this was one of the first code of conduct that was accepted by our data protection office. So we were actually we were one of the coordinators how GDPR is implemented in Polish healthcare, and that was actually why we started a project about data, medical data donation. When it comes to my education, I am a medical doctor and economist, and I wanted to tell you about this imposter syndrome, because unfortunately, I think that all the women have imprinted this imposter syndrome because of how we are raised up, and no matter what we accomplish, we just never feel satisfied with that. So I think that we should talk about it, and we should, have that feeling that we accomplished great things and we can be proud of that. And I was also a part of the discussion during the Women's Day about, like, in huge pharmaceutical company, and the president of that company, who is woman, told us that the most important thing for women is to feel included. And it really resonated with me, because men feel included, but women always have to ask if they can come, if they can be part of the project, or if they can, I don't know, be a part of that conference or something. We have to just feel included. And the last thing, I am really proud of that. As a Data Lake and Donate Your Data Foundation, one of the first projects that we actually run is in the area of women's health. So it's like it couldn't be better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ligia. Well, with introductions done, Laura, I will hand it over to you. I remain available for any technical issues or questions, but otherwise, I'm greatly looking forward to hearing the discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dinidh.
I'm just going to go back. I'm going to do the form. I'm sorry, Maria. I'm just going to put the format out so that we make it easier, as there's so many of us. I think the best way maybe is tackle a couple of subjects and to get your opinion from your perspectives from each one of you, so that everybody gets to have input in the conversations. I guess the first thing for the women in science here, or like Paige and myself who are into science, what do you see as the biggest challenge in STEM for women in terms of careers or in terms of funding or the different areas that you are tackling yourselves in your careers? Oksana, I will start with you and then we'll move around in a circle.
Well, what is the biggest challenge for women? Yeah. I think that the biggest challenge for women in science is to be recognized for their achievements. And this is very important point because women are quite smart guys and they are quite often can achieve some very good results. And we can see, and this is was emphasized by Ligia, I think, that we just don't feel their thing accomplished. We don't feel that we are do something important. And this is very important thing to notice, that this feeling actually should be from the surrounding. And surrounding should advocate you with your recognition to your discovery, for example, or for your small result, for your step, and for your belonging to this surrounding that is busy with some task, with some scientific path. And it is very important to notice for me, I think.
True. Maria, I had interrupted you, but please go ahead with what you were going to say, and also tell us what you think from your perspective is one of the biggest challenges for women in science like yourself, and with what you're trying to build.
Laura, you did not interrupt me at all. I was just saying goodbye for a while to Dinidh and saying thanks to him for this. Biggest challenge is funding. You know, I can also agree with Oksana that we have to recognize when we do something big. You know, even, you know, sometimes you do a little step, and this is fundamental to open a new avenue of area or something. You know, we know that, but we I do not know if it's a social condition or something. We try to say, okay, fine, I haven't done anything more than I should have done, isn't it? So, okay, fine. And it was through Oksana that she also, she named her DAO after Jocelyn, that was completely forgotten on the discovery. I don't remember, Oksana, anymore about Jocelyn. Maybe you can revive that when you speak again. But, you know, and so many of us, you know, like Rosalind, during the DNA discovery or some and other things, because they were technicians. Right now, we have the possibility of being heads of our labs, of our departments, you know, have a name of our own. And I think the challenges that we see here, it's for funding, for putting our name out, for publishing more. And this is, I have been 40 years in academia, you know, since I was in college doing pharmacy in Rio de Janeiro. I entered a lab and never left the lab, you know. It was just like one after the other. I did my master and then PhD and then my postdoc. I lived abroad for 25 years. I'm 61 years old right now. And, you know, still very young, you know, still feel full of energy, to do things and to provide solutions of the challenges I saw in academia. So, like I said, fighting for our rights, fighting for more funding, and for putting our names out in publications. I can shill about our projects later on the SIRE, but I will let other women to speak about them and about their opinions on their challenges as well. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you, Maria. Paige.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure. What prevents women from pursuing STEM? That was the question, correct? Or what can hold us back?
What are some of the challenges that women in STEM face? We've gone from the imposter syndrome and funding.
Yeah. Well, I hate to focus attention on an uncomfortable subject straight off the bat, but on March 22nd, the Fondation L'Oreal, so the L'Oreal Foundation, published a study that was conducted by Ipsos that said that 1 in 2 women pursuing STEM in the sciences actually experienced sexual harassment. Now, I'm sorry to bring this subject up so early on in the discussion, because I know it makes a lot of, it makes us uncomfortable. But 1 in 2 women, that's a huge number. And this was the other number that stuck in my head from that recently published report. And that was that in 2019, here in Europe, 95,000 women were pursuing STEM careers. The ones who reported having experienced sexual harassment in some kind of professional or our academic context, they were actually discouraged from pursuing their chosen field. Those numbers have now diminished. We're only in early 2023, so the numbers were actually tabulated from 2022, diminished from 90-some thousand, like 93,000, to 36,000 women pursuing STEM careers. That is a drop of 200%. So that is a problem, and also it's even more of a problem because this is post Me Too movement, right? I mean, the Me Too movement was supposed to have made us more courageous, more head on in facing these kinds of challenges, and more empowered to do something about them. But in fact, maybe what it's done is it's made us realize that we can stand up for our rights, and we need to stand up for our rights. But unfortunately, that may right now be translating into women then choosing different career paths. And that is sad, because another great thing, talk about good communication. L'Oreal Foundation does great communication in regards to women in science. And one of them is hashtag Stop the Dropout, right? Stop the Dropout. And that's a great hashtag, because it says, the tagline is the world needs science and science needs women. And that is true. That is so true. So let's help and empower these young women, or any age of women, or those identifying as such, who want to pursue a field in STEM.
Well, I mean, I love that Paige took it into the solution, because maybe the next 3, Ligia, Zara, and myself, we could actually tackle the next part, which is, instead of what are the problems, is what are some of the things and opportunities that Paige made that nice transition into, hey, here's the problem, but we can invert that. Ligia, what do you think some of the opportunities that we can create for women in STEM, specifically to even decentralized science? All of you are involved with decentralized science, and that's because we see opportunities. So what are some of the things that you think decentralized science can change for improving some of these jarring problems in women in science?
Thank you for that question. I think that opportunities are directly connected with challenges that we face, and I believe that the basic main challenge is stereotypes about the area of science, and this belief that we share, not only men share, but we women share, that science is for men. And actually, when it comes to, for example, IT technology, first of the informaticians were women. Even when first people that implemented computer science and first computers, they were thinking how to compare computers to something different, and they actually compared it to girl hour, because in these times, girls and women actually provided this basic programming activities. So women were first programists. And if we want to actually reverse this problem that in science there is a lot of and very little women, we have to talk about it. We have to make people know about it. People, and I am saying people because I believe that the problem is that we women believe that, for example, the science area is not for us because, I don't know, we are more stupid because we don't know how to do mathematics, or something. It's like it's not true, and we should talk about it, and we should be showing examples of women that are that accomplished successes in this area, and this is super powerful when it comes to young me, for example, when I see other women that are doing what I would like to do in the science area, what I would like to do in medicine or in technological areas, and this is really powerful. I really believe in that. And but some of the challenges, and I believe that they are also connected with these stereotypes, are very hard to overcome. For example, when it comes to funding, there was this very interesting report like last year or 2 years ago about CEE startups and Polish startups that actually, I don't remember direct numbers, but that was like this, that when it comes to startups that are founded only by men, like 80-something% of startups funded by VC funds are like all men co-founders. When it comes to mixed teams, there was like 10 or 15%. And when it comes to all women team, there was like, I don't know, 2-3% or even 1%. I don't remember exact number, but it was super low. So VC funds actually don't fund projects that are made by women, and this is very hard to overcome. And when it comes to opportunities and or ideas how we can overcome this challenge, we have a couple of funds in Poland, but I believe that this is the same for other countries that are actually focused on funding projects that are funded by other women. We have like this all women funds, and this is like, it's great, but we also should like know about this huge challenge, and we should shout about this challenge for all of us to be aware of that.
I will confirm just the numbers. So I mean, I have it here. 4% of investment go to women's health. 4% of all the investments in the world go to women issues, women health. 4%, and only 2% to female founders. So from all the investments, female founders receive 2%. I mean, this is, sorry that I'm jumping, Laura, without you making me jump, but this is like this is a real issue. And what is the challenge, and what we need to break is the mold. I mean, we are told as women that we need to be cute, we need to be quiet, we need to be, respectful, we need to be handsome, you need to have hair and makeup and so on. And I mean, the challenge I don't think is mental. I don't think I don't think not mental. I don't think is intellectual actually. Why there's no women or not so much women in STEM is just daring to change the mold. I'm reading now a book to my daughter, and it says really clearly, one of the second pages is like, be bold, be loud, and ask and dare to move and be the leader and drive. And this is kind of contradictory to what I've been told as a kid, no? And I think it's kind of the answer. You need to tell people, and it doesn't matter if they're woman, man, with disabilities, anyone, that they need to dare to take the step. And I think for us as women, and I'm like, for example, I'm raised in Spain, so still a kind of traditional society. And now I'm living for the last 10 years in Sweden, which is like more advanced when it comes to equality type of society. But still, I see that women still struggle to dare to be loud and dare to lead and dare to be more, heard. And I think this is the challenge where we are not seeing. So those that are loud, they are seeing, you're just being bossy. And when you're loud, you're a leader and people follow you, and this is that we really need to break, and something that it needs to change in all the areas, not only in STEM, but this is like extremely important for us in this area. And I see Maria comment on that.
Yeah, Laura, if you allow me, as a mediator, I was just 2 weeks ago, I was in Ethereum Rio. And there was a panel, and it was women only as well. And we are talking about the same thing, what is because they are all leaders, they're saying, what is your relationship with a man? And they said, look, we cannot be loud. And it was like everybody was saying the same. If we shout, or if you say, this has to be done this way, this must be done this way, the reply was, you are hysterical. You're hysterical. Yeah. And it reminded me that hysterical, the etymology of this word is hysteros, that is womb, uterus. So, okay. I'm being hysterical, this is how it's the power of my anatomy or something, but
why not?
Just a comment, Zara.
No, totally. I think we need to embrace who we are, and as a woman, as a person itself, and it doesn't matter who you are or what kind of sexual organs you have, to succeed. And I think we need to teach that to our next generation. And I hope, we don't have to do this kind of talks longer and like for the next generations that this is solved, because there's more complicated problems in the world to solve than like still fight for women's right. What is that? We're 50% of the population in this planet. So come on. We should stop discussing on this, and people should just like accept it. This is how it is. And just to give some data that I heard a few weeks ago, that women issues is 50% of world population issues. Still, we are like underrepresented like that. This is only like woman issues. But woman issues give birth to 100% of the population of the world, no? So it's not a woman issue, and it should not be seen as just a woman issue. And just to give you some data, there was like the first in clinical trials, the first time they included women in trials is in 1993. So 1993, the first time we include 50% of the diversity of this human planet into testing clinical pharma. How can that be? This is like amazing. And apparently in tech is the same. Like phones are made only to be managed by a man that has like bigger hands and can manage with one hand. The woman have to use two hands to use the phone. These stupid things. It's unbelievable. They're still happening. But I hope. After this series of talks and this movement that we are daring to talk about, next generation will not see these things, because it's ridiculous. I think it's really ridiculous. And
well, I have a very particular take on it, because I think that I come from a very different industry. I worked in the fashion and luxury industry, and the richest man in the world is, or he keeps competing with Elon Musk, is selling luxury goods. Women are the maker of industries. They're the maker of the luxury industry. They're the maker of the beauty industry, and they're the makers of the health industry, because 80% of the household decisions are made by women. That we don't have the capital power to say this is where we should put it is the one thing that we need to like completely focus on the action. And that is why I think the most amazing thing about DeSci, and the reason I got into it, is because you can flip the incentives to work towards the thing that you wanted to work for. And it's just about putting tokens in the hands of women, supporting each other's projects. That's how it's done, right? It's like networks. And I think the big thing about crypto that it's amazing, it's about network effects and incentives. And it's just about flipping the dynamic, because if we leave it at people, at the end is you have to like grab the bull by the horns, because no one's going to hand the bull to you. And they're just not doing it. There's tons of threads on Twitter about supporting women, investing in women. And then the numbers come out, and this year is lower than last year, and less investments and less funds. So in the end, it's just, if women are such market makers, we just have to focus on the markets that we can flip so that we actually call the shots. And that's, to me, the most exciting part about DeSci. It's creating the structures and tools to create the ecosystem and networks that could help put more tokens in the hands of women, more capital in the hands of women. And it's almost like using bartering tools, but with blockchain. And I think that's the most exciting part, right? It's like things that we use. I'm Mexican. So in Mexico, you have this really weird ways of like collecting money through the community. In 1 month, one person gets, and then the next. And these are very, quote unquote, old financial systems outside of the banking system to create capital pools. This is DeSci to me, creating capital pools, but using blockchain. And I think women have a great opportunity here for us to actually make it work for us, because they're not going to make it work for us. Go ahead, Ligia.
So many interesting topics that I don't know which one to start. But yes, for sure, I agree with that. That blockchain and DeSci movement can help women, and we actually are in our project focused on democratizing access to medical data for R&D, which means that we want to include women in research and development. And why it's important, Zara, you started to talk about the clinical trials, and I would like to continue a little bit. Some numbers. When it comes to 30 most important clinical trials in cardiology field, they are in 75%, they are based on data from men. When it comes to clinical trials that were conducted on HIV and AIDS, 80% of participants in these clinical trials were men. When it comes to drugs that were used on the United States, 7 or 8 out of 10 drugs were withdrawn from the market because effects on women. And that was such a big case that actually FDA, Food and Drug Administration in the United States, a couple of years ago created this special guidelines for researchers to include minorities and women in clinical trials. So to include half of the population in clinical trials. And it is actually not funny. It is very dangerous, because it may turn out that for some health conditions, that some health conditions looks differently if we deal with men, and looks differently if we deal with women. We have differences in our physiology. We actually have differences in our own physiology depending on in which time we are in our cycle, and it should be the part of the science, and it should be measured and it should be checked. And for example, when it comes to cardiological field, it may turn out that symptoms that are typical for men when it comes to heart attack are not typical for women when it comes to heart attack. And we have the situation, again, in data from the United States, that if men have heart attack, he has 15 or 17% quicker. He has the quicker diagnosis. But when it comes to women, they are twice more likely to be diagnosed with psychiatric issue when they suffer from heart attack. Like, it's unbelievable. And this is about this hysteria that Maria, you mentioned, because it's unbelievable and it's absurd, and we should talk about it. Thank you.
Yeah, you make the argument. Thanks. You're almost pitching like everything that we talk about at Athena DAO right now in terms of women's health. It's really dire. It's not just like one mention, Sarah mentioned as an investment, but even funding for female researchers is also lower proportionally to men. And then when we're talking about, let's say, when research into women's health, that's just another conversation that is not even, it's not about getting ourselves all sat here. It's mostly about finding opportunities. So one of the questions in the conversation is, we have 15 more minutes. So I think what would be like a good way to go over this would be, all of you are leaders in the space, you're leaders in your career. I guess what would be the takeaway in terms of people to understanding how to support what we're doing and how to actually help if people are motivated to support women in STEM and the projects that women are leading? What do you think is the best advice we could be giving people in terms of how to make a difference, and not just like have the conversation, but truly action items to say, this is how we really push women researchers forward, or women in science forward, or women's health research forward? One, whichever you prefer. Oksana, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, of course. I just will continue this topic regarding their recognition a bit, because as Maria mentioned, yes, we have a DAO, a scientific DAO on Gosh, layer 1 blockchain that is more scalable for now among all blockchains that we have, but you don't know about it. Unfortunately, maybe because I'm a woman, maybe not. We'll see. And this DAO, I was with honor named as after Jocelyn Bell Barnell. This is astrophysicist from Northern Ireland. She was discovered radio pulsars in 1964, but she was a postgraduate student at that moment, and that's why in 1974, when a Nobel Prize came, it came unfortunately to her principal investigator because of status conflict, because she was postgraduate student at that moment, and because there are many of motivations why it was. And one of these that there was no astrophysicist profession at that moment. Okay, it was not part of physics. Okay, it's and so on and so forth. And she afterwards founded her own foundation, Jocelyn Foundation. Actually, it corresponded specifically for minorities, but minorities in terms of race and geolocation, but mostly from women, from these minorities. And it is very important to emphasize that she tried, and she is trying still. She is alive, and she's on continuation of her path to elaborate more accessible science, as well as we are, but from centralized science point, but still. And she is trying to get recognition for these women that are from problem areas with humanitarian disasters, with some lack of resources and some lack of recognition, of course.
There should be, Oksana, if I may, there should be a retroactive Nobel Prize for her if she's still alive.
No, actually, no. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe we can do some kind of letter, public letter to Nobel Committee regarding this topic. But still, she is working with this trauma a lot, and she is canalized this in a very good manner to help women from problem areas to get access to science. It is very important, and that's why we called our DAO after her. And what we are doing actually, we discussed some numbers, and I want to note that men often repeat that they are good in programming skills and IT, you know. And actually, when we try to double check, are there published code libraries, research code libraries from Harvard University are executable, it was found that they are executable not so good as expected. Less than 30% of them are not executable, and these research code libraries are mainly from men, of course. And this is the problem that we want to fix, and want to elaborate some kind of best practices for a verification of not only research process, starting from study proposal and review of study proposal, but and of course study results, that is very important, but actually we want to confirm and verify methodology for this research process, for this research study particularly, and try to put this research methodology into a specific environment that will be filled with all necessary dependencies, that all necessary security tips that will in the end give us not only executable research library, research tool that could be used by external researchers and reproduce the study, but as well it will be safe for them, because scientists that are mainly men are actually very unaware about security and safety about the stuff that they download from the internet. And this is very curious thing that I want to notice and emphasize. They are some kind of light mindset, you know, regarding security and cybersecurity. So it is very interesting.
So as a call to action, Oksana, what did you think is the type of support, just in one phrase, so that we go to Maria in terms of supporting women in science, or even your project?
My call to action, of course, I want to call foundations and investors to invest in best practices of research code execution and safety, but actually it's less important than call to action for researchers to come and experts to come to us and build the communities that will be responsible for improved review process. and for verification, improved verification of research process in whole. And it is more important for me to build a community, and that's why I just call all researchers and experts from any field, from any sexuality, from any area, under the that experience any kind of inequity, lack of inclusion, and that are under humanitarian disasters. And we know what I mean. I mean, of course, some areas that are very with very big problems for now in Europe and in my country, in Israel, of course, as well. And we are attracting these people. We want to see them here, and we want to provide them belonging to our community with mentoring and with providing them safe space for the most complicated things, as, for example, research code creation and execution. That is kind of men's stuff.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We're going to move because we're like now only 8 minutes before the top of the hour. So, Maria, your call to action for supporting women in science or changing the game.
In my view, it's not us against them. There is no such a thing. It's all of us together understanding this data. Data don't lie. And, when you showed that, like Ligia said, that is like 4% of leaders get funded, women leaders get funded in startups. It's data, and it's there. So, if some of us are not aware of those data, of those numbers, be as women, men, or the gender. We don't. But this is the first thing that we should do. It is to show this data, everywhere, and talk about that. We are privileged. We are very lucky that we are leaders. We do whatever we want in spite of all the conditions. But we have to be more knowledgeable of what the reality is for others. So incentives are good. Gitcoin now has just launched their round. I do not know if you are aware of that. I'm telling you, I'm a part of the organization, and they have included a bonus they call the DEI, for equity and inclusion. The D, I forgot what it is, but it is for to give extra bonus, and I mean money, crypto, digital currencies, for those groups that present projects in teams that have women, transgender, all this. A balanced, team for this matter. And it's not only about gender, right? It's not. It's about age as well, because some people say you're old for what you're doing, I believe that people will just say anything to put you aside, They will look at you and they will identify a characteristic and they'll say, oh, you're a woman, you're out. Oh, you're old, you're out. And this grows. The more intelligent and the more capable you are, the more likely is that you're going to suffer from one of those things. And you say, oh, come on, now what's this? Anyway, and also, Laura, you talk about the role models, and I will go for this call for action as well. I have put in one of the posters of a DeSci event that we are organizing here in Sao Paulo, a Black scientist, a Black woman scientist. Well, not say a black, but I would say a dark colored skin woman that was a scientist. And this resonated with the daughter of Jelani Clark. I do not know if you know him. He's a president of DeSci World. And she looked at this poster and she said, Father, I want to be like that woman when I grow. And it was just, just a card, a call for an event. So we have to put this in action, and be also include in our own teams, in our own projects, on board those young, old women, men, other genders, very young guys, girls, everybody. And this has to start with us. So like, I think it was Ligia or Zara said, we will not talk about this in the near future, We expect not to have a conversation like this I would say in the medium to long run. So that's it, Lara. Thanks.
Thanks, Maria. Those were amazing points. Paige?
Oh, yeah. Hi. Yeah. A couple closing thoughts. Well, in terms of a call to action, one of the things, and I loved the comments of the previous speakers. Everything is wonderful. One of the things I think that I'm most excited about, a project that we've gotten involved with, actually it's through my personal company, which is a government contracting company. And that is, we're working on STEM inclusion through a NASA-funded project at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. So what it is, the principal investigator who's leading that project is a rocket scientist. And it's to stand up the Hawaii Aspiring Aerospace Engineers Academy. Now, my fondest dream when I imagine this project, a couple, a decade or so down the road, is to see young women Pacific Islanders who have gone through the program. And so who are not only women, but who are women who have grown up in a Pacific Island context, worlds away. Having grown up on a Pacific Island, I know how far away that is from, say, NASA Johnson Space Center or Kennedy Space Center. So to see these kinds of programs funded and led, and then also allowing people like myself, right? I mean, I have no rocket scientist background, and yet I'm a small business, a woman-owned small business, and they're allowing me to come in and share my expertise. And some of that expertise that they're very interested in is the open science, everything that we've been discussing here. And I'll keep this very brief because I know we've got two more speakers that need to give their call to action. But I wanted to touch on very briefly too a comment that was made earlier. I believe it was you, Laura, who talked about women as market makers. Let's just think about this for 1 second. LVMH made $20 billion profit in 2020. In 2022, that rose to $80 billion. Now, Louis Vuitton handbags are not the only thing that they make money off of. They have a whole portfolio. But let's just acknowledge that that is very true. We are market makers. So one of the things that we champion at Frontier DAO is fusion energy. We believe it's a climate, so it is the climate solution. Last year, there was $2.8 billion put into it, and that was a bellwether year, more than there has ever been in totality put into it in terms of investment dollars to date in private fusion energy. And yet, on the other hand, we easily put money into handbags and things that, I'm not saying they're unnecessary, but can't we balance this? Can't we balance putting money into, luxury items and things that we love? I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying let's have a balance and put also, let's be our market. Let's be market makers. Let's empower ourselves and recognize the tools that are in our hands. Thank you.
Love that, Paige, for sure. That's one of the things, creating our own networks. Ligia, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you are saying, because it's really nice to hear that, and to hear all of your stories about how are you fighting in your own field, and this is really, really great to hear that. And I think that the most important thing when it comes to these action items, that the action point that we can implement in our life, like from tomorrow, is to help other women. And it doesn't have to be a huge help. It can be, sometimes it can be just connecting women with the right people, right? And that's all. Because I have that feeling that we were raised up in this feeling that we have to be competitors with other women, and we are jealous, for example, about each other. And it's an absurd, again, because we should cooperate with each other. It's not a zero-sum game when we talk about creating innovations, and we should cooperate. And this is what actually is going on in Poland right now, in Polish healthcare, because couple of media platforms in healthcare for specialists are actually run by women. And the like two media that were competitors to each other, when they started to be run by women, they actually started to cooperate with each other. And right now we have number of events for women in healthcare that are telling about women accomplishments, successes, etc. And they are working with other women to help them, and this is very, very important. And other thing, and for example, we have a huge discussion on LinkedIn, Twitter, and everywhere about conferences that there is no woman in discussion panels. And it's like, I can feel that is really, really unpopular for this year to have a panel without a woman, and it was normal like 2 years ago. So we can feel that change. But another thing that I wanted to say is about us to react and stand up to this kind of, because we actually didn't talk about this sexual harassment more, and I really like what you, Paige, told about it. And I believe that we have to stand up when we see that something is going on, and we can hear, for example, this really strange comments. And I believe that we all heard this kind of comments. I heard it a lot. And it's very hard to react to these kind of comments, because if you react, you will be, hysterical again, or aggressive, or too loud or something. If you don't react, you don't feel well with yourself. And I think that we should all help each other to react to that, and react if we see that something is going on when it comes to other women. And we have to help each other to do that. And I believe that I am in the middle right now of that change I can feel when it comes to Polish healthcare. And I believe that, and I really hope that it will go on and on, and it can be spread in other countries too. So I believe that we can do it together.
Awesome.
Thank you for emphasizing this. Thank you for emphasizing this. I think that's very important.
Zara, please go ahead.
Sorry, I've been dropping off and in, and I had really difficulties to hear some of your comments, but I can continue with health maybe from my side. I mean, we as a European Innovation Agency, we work a lot with innovations that are in health, and those that want to move from academia or hospitals to the market. And what we see there is that actually the CEOs of the majority of these innovations are men, when healthcare providers, doctors, nurses, and caregivers are mostly women. So here there's an imbalance, a quite strong unbalance actually on who is taking the lead and who is bringing this to market compared to who is creating the problem, who is identifying the problem and bringing ideas. No, so in EIT Health, actually we have identified this, and we are around many of these women and girls in STEM forums, and as well we are actually, unfortunately now the deadline is closed, but we had a bootcamp only focused for women entrepreneurs, to give them, to teach them, to help them to succeed further when they don't have yet the company and so on. So I think, I mean, it's a small initiatives, of course, at European level, but I think we need to do more of those and encourage people to dare to break the mold, dare to make the step, dare to step in places where previously women were not visible, or in places where we should not be. And I think we should encourage anyone to take the step and encourage. So I'm a mother of a small girl. I hope she never sees this balance or this balance, sorry. And I hope she is encouraged to shine and fight for whoever she wants to be, regardless of how with gender she was born. And I hope to teach my son as well the same thing, to respect as well, and that they don't see the difference. So I think what you say, Ligia, of supporting others and helping, this is essential. I think my mentors, and the most important mentors I had is actually women that have passed the similar path before me, that are opening doors and introducing you. And I think this creating networks that you were also commenting, Laura, is essential, I think, for women to succeed, for anyone to succeed, no? But I think we need an extra support there, and we need to help each other. So just like dare to make the step. This is my thought, and ask for help from others, because I'm sure, I mean, women that have made the path will always support. And I think this is my commitment as well. I try to always help, I mean, regardless if there's a woman, but especially if there's a woman that dares to jump out of the standards, that I think this is worth supporting. So thank you for having us today discussing on these topics. I hope someone's been inspired through these talks, and yeah, thank you for everyone contribution. I think it was important to discuss and see all these different points of views. So thank you.
Well, I guess I'm just going to go very quickly because I'm the last one. And I think everybody covered pretty much anything that I would say. I guess the big thing for me is, obviously with Athena DAO, I'm trying to build something that brings advocacy and action together. And something that Ligia said struck a chord for me. The pie is really big. And I've encountered a lot of people that they think the pie is very small, so they don't support other people's projects. And particularly, I find this in women's health a lot. And we need to change that mentality. There's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of opportunity. It's just about capitalizing it and making it our own. And I think the networks thing is a huge thing. So I invite people to join our community. We want to collaborate with all the women in decentralized science, with all the researchers. We want to build a network that is very women-driven, in which we create our own opportunities, because there's a lot out there and we just have to capitalize on it. So I put our community. I'm happy. I mean, we have to do more panels. We have to keep drumming the drum. We have to keep positioning ourselves. Not that anybody's the enemy, but we just have to remind everybody that we're there and we have things to say. So thank you so much to Data Lake for putting this together. And hopefully we'll have more. And now that the DeSci grant round has been announced, we can start organizing our events again to keep pushing our projects forward. That's my call to action. United we can.
Thank you so much, Laura, for moderating our discussion. Thank you to everyone. It was fascinating, a little bit disturbing with some of those figures, to be honest, like shocking. And I just have to say, like, the data doesn't lie, Maria. I completely agree with you. Putting those numbers in front of people, I really hope will stir them into action, or at least changing their thinking. Thank you so much for taking the time, all of you, to have this discussion, to be here. I really hope we can do it again, and we may be working on something for DeSci Summer, so I will certainly be in touch. Thank you to all of our listeners again, to those who will be listening on YouTube and other channels. And yeah, this was incredible. I hope you all have a lovely night and encounter you again soon, I hope.
Thank you. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Discord.
Bye. Nice
Bye.
to see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Dinidh. Bye, Lara. Sana.